Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this month's Enterprise Risk Management Toolbox webinar. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. If you've dialed in by phone but haven't logged in by web and you'd like to see the slides that will be shown during today's presentation, please point your web browser to readytalk.com. In the box where it says Participant Join a Meeting, enter the same access code that you used to join the call, 9879821. Please stay aware of the level of background noise in your area, and if it starts to become noisy, please put your phone on mute. If you are called away from your phone, please do not put it on hold because that will cause your hold music to be transmitted to everybody else. You can simply hang up and dial back in when you are available, and it will not disrupt the call. We are leaving the phone lines open for now, so if you have questions, you can raise them as they come up. The chat box is also available if you want to type a question in there, and that will let the presenters address it when they have a moment to pause. With that, I will hand the controls over to Grace Cricket. Grace?
All right, thank you, Emily, and Happy New Year, everyone. This is our first ERM Toolbox call of the year, and we're very pleased. I see we have an excellent turnout. I can tell on the dashboard. I can see that we've got a lot of people on the call. The Enterprise Risk Management Program continues to be successful and effective. Is our annual report yet up on the website, Emily, the new one?
No, we're working on getting it uploaded.
We'll have our new annual report, which was just presented last month to the regions, up on the website, hopefully this week or early next week. And you can read in there about the program. On our ERM panel meeting coming up, we're going to go in depth into that. So one of the things that, also I want to put out a risk summit is June 6th, 7th, and 8th. So save the date, more information to come. Again, risk summit, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. John Gregg is going to take the lead on this presentation, and I'm going to pipe in. And is Kashif on the call? Emily, can you see?
No, Grace, Tim Carson's here in Kashif's stead. He's traveling.
Okay, great. Okay, so Tim's going to pipe in on one section, and then I know Katie Picard is on the line as well, and I'm going to talk about some of the work that she's done that really helps to look at the objective setting part of enterprise risk management. We're always looking at where our gaps are or how we can improve the program, and so one of the areas that the ERM team, and in particular John Gregg, identified was that we really didn't have any material, I'll say, really specifically speaking to objective setting. And so this is an area that we think that the university has a lot of opportunity in, which always means improvement, and that understanding of we have people doing risk assessments, identifying the risks, but not necessarily identifying the objectives. And then we have people identifying the objectives, but not identifying the risk, and how can we bring those two together. So this toolbox is sort of the first step towards really making sure that we're educating everyone about how objective setting and risk assessment tie together. So on that note, John, take it away.
Thank you, Grace. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Objective Setting. So for today's session, we're going to talk about objective setting, and specifically we'll talk about objective setting as a component of the COSO ERM model, the differences between objective setting and goals, characteristics of good objectives, objectives as the foundation for risk assessments, writing objectives using the balanced scorecard, and creating key performance indicators. Then we'll also talk about next steps, suggestions for what you can do once your objectives are defined. So ERM focuses on objectives. According to the COSO definition, ERM is a process that provides management with reasonable assurance that objectives will be achieved. While large organizations generally state their goals and objectives in terms of strategic plans, practitioners implementing ERM at lower levels of the institution will likely encounter units that have not formally defined their objectives. Defining objectives should be included in the unit's plan for their implementation of ERM. The importance of objective setting is recognized in the COSO cube as the second component of the COSO framework. The setting of objectives is the foundation upon which the other components are based. Event identification, for example, is about identifying opportunities that can help achieve objectives and risks that can prevent the achievement of objectives. The institution's mission, vision, and purpose establish the broad-based reasons for being. Strategic objectives state in broad terms what the institution aspires to achieve. Managers at all levels should establish related operational reporting and compliance objectives in support of their strategic objectives. Objectives should be aligned with the institution's vision and mission. Using UC Davis as an example, we can see how objectives contribute to achieving the vision and mission. At the 2011 fall convocation at UC Davis, Chancellor Linda Katehi said, "Enough is enough" in regards to the continuing state budget cuts. She launched a strategic plan called the 2020 Initiative to focus on the future of the campus and the opportunities it brings. Examples of her vision and strategies are included in this slide. For example, in the vision, it defines the way an organization, or by definition I should say, a vision defines the way an organization or enterprise will look in the future. Vision is a long-term view, sometimes describing how the organization would like the world to be in which it operates. The Chancellor's vision for UC Davis includes expanding education opportunities to an increased number of California national and international students. Mission defines the fundamental purpose of an organization or an enterprise, succinctly describing why it exists and what it does to achieve its vision. A mission statement answers the question, what do we do? The mission of the University of California is teaching, research, and public service, which includes, as a land-grant university, providing access to an excellent education. Values are beliefs that drive an organization's culture and priorities, and provide a framework for which decisions are made. The values of the University of California are integrity, excellence, accountability, and respect. Strategy is a combination of the ends or goals for which the institution is striving to reach and the means by which it is seeking to get there. A strategy, sometimes called a roadmap, is the path chosen to follow towards the end vision. The most important part of implementing a strategy is to ensure the institution is going in the right direction, that is, towards the end vision. In support of the university's teaching mission, the UC Davis 2020 vision includes the goal, offer the benefits of a UC education to an even greater number of deserving students. Two of the objectives to achieve the goals are shown here. Deliver the benefits of a UC education to an additional 5,000 deserving undergraduates, both California residents and non-resident students alike, and provide sufficient additional revenue to support up to 300 new tenure-track faculty positions. Goals and objectives. The terms goals and objectives are often used interchangeably in practice and in professional literature. Both state desired outcomes an organization is trying to achieve. One is usually used to describe long-term outcomes, the other short-term. Goals and objectives may be described by other terms, such as end states, plans, policies, strategies, tactics, and actions. The UC ERM program uses the terms goals to mean general statements of long-term outcomes in support of the campus or unit mission. Goals are broad in scope. Objectives are statements of short-term outcomes, generally achievable, in 1 year or less. The best objectives are measurable, with an achievable end state indicating that the objective has been achieved. Strategic planning at all levels of the organization should end with objectives and a roadmap of the ways to achieve them. The terminology used to define objectives and the level at which a plan is written should be understandable and executable by everyone. After you have written the objectives, step back and look at the whole list. Are the objectives compatible, and do they present the complete picture of what the organization is trying to achieve? Risk assessments are generally conducted in 3 phases: identification, assessment, and mitigation. Since risks are defined as events that can prevent the achievement of objectives, it's critical that objectives first be clearly defined and understood by the people participating in the risk assessments. As you conduct risk assessments at various levels of your institution, you will work with units that have not defined their objectives. The Balanced Scorecard is an excellent framework for defining objectives. Created by Robert S. Kaplan and David P. Norton of the Harvard Business School, the Balanced Scorecard promotes developing business goals that are balanced by looking at your business from 4 perspectives and measured through a scorecard of key performance indicators of desired outcomes. The Balanced Scorecard provides answers to 4 basic questions. From the customer perspective, how do customers see us? From the financial perspective, how do we look to our stakeholders? From the internal business perspective, what must we excel at? From the innovation and learning perspective, can we continue to improve and create value? Further information about the Balanced Scorecard can be obtained from the Balanced Scorecard Institute and from university and college libraries. Now I'd like to turn the podium over to Tim, who will, is it Tim or Katie, who will introduce the slide.
Thanks, John. We are currently working with the University of California at San Diego in their business services department to develop a balanced scorecard for them. They want to look at survey data mostly for all of their vice chancellor units, and then broken down further into actual units and departments. So what we have right here is the 2010 central cashier view that looks at all of their survey data. In the top left quadrant, you see they trend it, and you can see that how their surveyed numbers are going up. It was based on a 1 through 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And so in the table on the top left, you can see how the trend is going over the years. And they use this data for a number of things. They use this data for staffing purposes, for funding purposes, for a number of solid business reasons. The scatter graph on the top right looks at the impact versus their overall assessment about where they want to be, and the closer you are to the higher numbers, the better off you're going to be. So the real benefit of this overall dashboard is it gives them various ways to look at their data in meaningful ways. There's a bar chart that shows the details of the data on the bottom right, and then another bar chart that shows the mean scores for the overall average as it goes through. So it's a very neat way for decision makers to look at how their departments are doing at one glance.
Tim, can you speak to the efficiencies? I mean, obviously they could, take these and make their own charts. So can you talk about why they wanted to, incorporate it into the ERMIS system?
So they currently have 3 different reports that are like this that they have to develop in other forms with other technologies. They have this is customer satisfaction, they have a student satisfaction, and they have staff at work. Additionally, they also want to take individual metrics from each department to correlate with all of this data. Currently, they have no way of comparing all 3 of the different reports that they currently create, nor the metrics separately. So what ERMIS gives them the ability to do is to create all of these in one place. Additionally, we can create these other metrics that they want to correlate, and we can do some really good data analysis with all of this all in one place. So that efficiency doesn't currently exist, and it's greatly going to help UCSD going forward with having one central location where everything can be reviewed and looked at one place.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Key performance indicators, or KPIs, are best identified during discussions of objectives. KPIs are metrics that will show the progress towards and achievement of objectives. Emphasis should be placed on measuring outcomes rather than processes. The goal of identifying KPIs is to reduce the list to the most significant indicators of performance overall. The KPIs you select should be key indicators of achievement. Conventional wisdom is to limit the number of KPIs to about 6 per objective. Other sources of key performance indicators may include measures stated in strategic plans and surveys asking division managers what metrics they use to determine success and achievement of objectives. Now that you have your objectives, what do you do next? UC Risk Services provides a wealth of information and tools through our ERM website. For example, you may want to use one of our risk assessment spreadsheet tools to conduct your own risk assessments. These spreadsheet tools are easy to use and support general and specific risk assessments. A sample risk universe is available to help you assess risks before entering into a contract or a new venture. University of California locations can create dashboards of key performance indicators that measure the progress toward achieving objectives. This slide shows the links associated with these examples. You are all welcome to visit our website at http://www.ucop.edu/riskmgt-ERM and download information and tools to help you with your ERM program.
There we go. So just, this is Grace again. I'm going to take you to our website and just show you a few things, just highlight that were just mentioned. So here we go, Enterprise Risk Management. So under Resources is where we've added in information regarding objective setting. And I just want to highlight, I'm not going to go through all of this. We've also done a bulletin on objective setting to help heighten awareness regarding the importance of objective setting. But I want to show you in this one, next step, is the sample risk universe. This is I don't want to say it's a new program. We're trying to figure out a more efficient way. So many of you, particularly those who are risk managers, we get called when there's contracts to indicate what insurance requirements should be put in place and requested from the vendors. After the fact, sometimes we get contracts and then there's questions about, did we have the appropriate insurance? What we've been starting to do with the help of Katie Pickard, who's on the phone, is when we get enough advance notice on for example, an RFP or RFI going out, is in addition to saying here's what the insurance requirements are, is to also get the people doing the contract to ask those competing for the contract to address how they would manage the different areas of risk. And the risk universe helps with this. Also, the risk universe can also be very helpful when you are doing risk assessments and you want to pre-educate your audience about what the risk might be. Let me pull up Excel now. Oh, what's up? Did I get it? Hang on. Oh, my tech Emily's here to make sure I'm technically. Oh, so it has to come up. Okay. Now is it on the screen? Okay, great. Thanks. So this is actually the, I'll call it the generic version. And Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about this? Just a few thoughts?
Yes, I'm happy to do that, Grace. Basically, we start out with the hazard risks on the left, the types of risk, and how they can be transferred to insurance. And then we go down, and the hazard risks are familiar to you, property, et cetera, pandemic, vehicle ownership, third-party risk, third-party liability, employee risk. And then we go down to financial risks. And this can kind of help if you're talking with people on campus and they're looking at a project holistically. You can shoot this over to them, and that might prompt them to think about risks they hadn't really thought through yet, or that they need to know that it's pinned down how they're handling that. And information technology risks related to the project. Also, that helps you when you're thinking about reviewing a contract. What are some information technology risks that I may not be thinking about at the top of my mind? If I go over this list, it will prompt me to realize, hey, we need to talk more about the risk in this particular contract, or no, there really is little risk here. And then you have the human resource risks, which includes personnel issues, includes employees coming onto your of other companies coming onto your premises, workers' compensation risks, employee mental health, etc. And then you get into research risks, which often involves, which is both domestic and foreign. And that prompts you to think about EH&S. Is it possible that I should pull them in and have them have some comment about a particular contract I'm reviewing or a project that's been brought to my attention? Collaboration is always good. It's always better than, more is better than less, let me put it that way. And then there's the intellectual property and patent infringement. And then contract and grant risks. I know you're all familiar with these, but it doesn't hurt to have just a short list. And if you think of something that we haven't thought of, please bring that to my attention or Grace's attention, and we'll put this in. This is not a cut in stone. This is a living document, and it's your document. Compliance risks. Again, it prompts people who are working on a project to begin thinking of risks they may not have pinned down yet, and they can assign that out to people on their team to make sure that everything's working correctly going forward. And then we have the facilities and maintenance risks. Laboratory safety, again, that's EH&S, can be brought in if you have concerns. And fire, which we're all always worried about, and do everything we can to prevent. So this is sort of a quick overview, and is meant to be a tool to prompt thinking and do a holistic risk management.
Thanks, Katie. So this is a work in progress. It's also been integrated into our field operational planner, and also we're working closely with EAP to come up with different versions that are specific to different countries. So right now the only one we're posting is the generic one, but we have actually a few other of these risk universe reports, if you will, that have been completed, and our goal is to end up with a library. And how this ties back into the objective setting is, like I said in the beginning, we have some people that are setting their objectives, but they may not be thinking about the risks and vice versa. So this is sort of the other hand, is that we want to encourage solid objective setting, but we also want to make sure that when people are saying their objective is to start a new venture, that they're also, hopefully before they enter into the contract or even before they issue the RFI or RFP, that they are thinking about the risk universe. So, John?
Okay, thank you, Grace. And as Grace mentioned, the more information about objective setting is available in ERM Bulletin number 14. And it's also information's posted under the Resources tab on the UC Risk Services website. So we'd like to thank you for your interest in ERM and this presentation, and open the floor up to questions. Anybody have any questions?
Or comments?
Or comments?
Is there anybody who has any suggestions for how we might be able to strengthen people's skills on objective setting or on the use of tools like the Balanced Scorecard? Any recommendations?
This is Saladin. I'd be interested in more information on the Balanced Scorecard. I'm somewhat familiar with the process, but the linkage with ERM is something that I feel like I'd like to learn more about. The UCSD initiative sounds very interesting to me. And I have just a very modest suggestion on the last table that we were going through, that the guide for identifying different categories of risks. Always I'm interested in integrating our compliance risk into our overall enterprise risk universe, and realizing that a number of those categories that we were looking at, financial, research, and otherwise, all had potentially compliance components within them. Perhaps we should consider the one section which is explicitly identified as compliance risk, perhaps to put the qualifier not otherwise identified, because it respects the fact that compliance is big and important and appears in many of the different areas of risk, and it might be useful to put that distinction in that one section, which if we haven't caught a compliance item somewhere else, then that's a good place to put it.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. We can do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. Katie here.
And Saladin, this is Tim Carson. I'll reach out to you offline and we can discuss the business balance scorecard further.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The contact information is everywhere.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, anything else from anyone?
Grace, there's a question in the chat box. Is there any process for updating the risk universe?
Basically, it would be emailing. You can either email myself or Katie Picard directly. And we definitely would like, so that's about as formal as it gets. So you can email me or you can email Katie Picard. And Katie, do you want to give your email address?
Yes, it's K, the initial K, and then my last name Pickard, Pickard at AlliantInsurance.com. Alliant is ALLIANT, insurance.com.
I just will share one other. There's 2 contracts so far that our office has been able to get ahead of and provide to the people putting together their RFP. And these were not these are not the risk people. These were actually the academic side. And you know what? They were actually very. Can I say thrilled, Katie? I don't know if that's a stretch, but they were very happy to get the risk universe, and they said that it actually was making them think about things they hadn't thought about with the contract. And so they included it as an addendum in the RFI and asked the people responding to put in writing how they would respond and manage those risks. So I think you
that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think that you'll find that people are actually grateful to get some kind of list like this to help them with their process. So far, happy customers with that, and we'd encourage you, if you know of any RFPs or RFIs, to use that document, and that's basically how you incorporate it in as an addendum with one of your requirements for the people responding. You ask them to indicate how they'll manage those risks. So there you go. All right, well, thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.